Hi, everyone, and welcome, and thanks for joining our webinar today. My name is Charlie Bryan. I'm a member of the training and development team here at AdSwerve, and I am your moderator for today's session, which is all about search and AI, two very hot topics in today's marketing landscape. Before I introduce our panelists, I do want to briefly introduce AdSwerve for any of you who might be new to us. We are your go-to experts for data, media, and tech, and we are very proud to be the number one Google marketing partner, a top Google Cloud partner, and the Adobe Emerging Solution Partner of the Year for 2 years running. We have over 250 experts on our team. We help more than 800 brands and agencies maximize their use of Google and Adobe and other leading MarTech platforms. We actually log over 80,000 hours in client analytic projects alone, and we handle about $1 billion in media spend. So if you have a marketing challenge, chances are that we have helped someone solve that already, and we are ready to help you find your solution as well. So that's AdSwerve. Now, our panelists today are these three lovely faces that you see on the screen. First, we have Kaysen Jacobelli. She's a media consultant here at AdSwerve. Morgan Brown is one of AdSwerve's senior analytics consultants. And we have Lauren Schneider, who's the director of SEO at Lamarck Media, which is a full-service marketing agency that's focused on providing integrated marketing solutions to their clients. So that's a little bit about us. Now, who are you all? We have a mix of direct marketers and agency representatives on the call today, and you all share a big challenge, as you can see listed at the top of this graph, trying to navigate and control AI's impact on your marketing efforts, especially these days. So as you can see, that was far and away the top challenge, and it's what we're here to discuss today. And we know that that's the top challenge because of this answer here and because of all the questions that you submitted during our registration process. We really appreciate you submitting those questions. It helps us kind of guide our content for these. So I pulled those topics into a mind map. And so you can see where everyone's biggest curiosities and concerns lie. But one thing is for sure, y'all are feeling AI's disruption in search marketing. And you've come to the right place to discuss those concerns and curiosities. So let's take a look at our roadmap for today. Here's a quick look at what we'll be covering. We're going to kick things off with everyone's favorite thing, which is change. So we're going to take a look at how AI is disrupting search. And then we'll talk about what's working and how marketers are adapting to those changes that we introduced in section 1. And from there, we'll move into action with a discussion of what's next and how we can prepare for it. We will have time for live Q&A at the end, and then we'll wrap up with some remaining thoughts and insights. So without further ado, let's dive into section 1, what is changing? So let's start with how AI is changing the way we search and what that means for visibility, measurement, and strategy. I'm going to start with the paid search side of the house. So Kaysen, what changes are you seeing so far?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to overstate how much has changed this past year, so a good place to kind of get started. I know we're in the middle of one of the fastest evolutions search has ever seen, as AI is reshaping not just how people search, but what they see, how they interact, and where brands can show up. Search used to be about keywords and rankings, and now it's about context, conversations, and representation inside of AI-driven experiences. By the end of this year, AI overviews will appear in nearly 40% of all queries, and this means that visibility isn't just about being on page 1 anymore. It's about being a part of the answers AI helps to generate. Search results are now a dynamic mix of AI summaries, featured snippets, and follow-up prompts, all happening before a user even scrolls. And those featured snippets we used to chase are now evolving into multi-source summaries that pull from multiple domains. Appearing inside an AI overview has effectively become the new top position. For brands and advertisers, that changes everything, as visibility is now going to depend on how well content and ad strategy feeds AI systems, consistent, structured, and high-quality information across both web, video, and social. Search has shifted from a results-based model into an answer-based model. And for advertisers, above the fold doesn't just mean a placement on a page anymore. It means showing up inside AI experiences where relevance, authority, and AI readiness matter just as much as bid strength. All of this ties directly into how paid visibility itself is changing, as traditional premium placements that used to sit above organic results, they're now being pushed down below AI summaries and interactive answer panels. This shift means that advertisers need to evolve their approach as AI systems now interpret meaning and context, not just exact match keywords. Essentially, resisting AI driven campaign types is basically resisting your brand's visibility. Now, as we received some pre submitted questions, majority of them were around declining click through rates and the rise of CPCs. And we're getting this question a lot. And this topic is now everywhere, from the search engine land to ad exchanger and Reddit threads. But as a media consultant, what's frustrating me the most is the amount of acknowledgement that this is a problem and the little discussion around the solutions that we can move forward with. As a Google channel partner, AdSwerve works with hundreds of marketers and agencies. And this is one of the common questions that we're having right now in conversations. In the majority of the cases that we dig into, we tend to uncover two big patterns. First, in many accounts where click-through rates are dropping, conversion rates are actually holding steady year over year. And that is interesting because it does tell us that AI overviews are indeed acting as filters. The people who do click are often more qualified and further along in their decision journey. So yes, there are definitely fewer clicks, but there's also a stronger intent. Now, in the second case where conversion rates are dropping, we usually find that the brand or marketer isn't optimized for AI-driven formats. And that's a signal that their strategy isn't aligned with how AI is reshaping visibility. You've got to make sure that your campaigns, and especially brand campaigns, are showing up in AI-driven spaces like AI overviews and AI mode, because that's where users are spending more time and making decisions earlier. Speaking of brand campaigns, what I think is one of the most concerning trends that I'm seeing is branded click-through rate decline. Right now, branded visibility in AI overviews appears in less than 5% of queries. Now, I don't personally think that this means that Google is intentionally hiding brands or blocking them from AI overviews, but I do think it's probably the result of paid and organic strategies that have been siloed for years, and a lot of advertisers that are hesitant to test new formats and campaign types for their branded campaigns. Now, that being said, when we do see brands appear in AI overviews, their click-through rates actually rise on average by 19%. So again, I don't think it's that brand visibility is weak, but that most brands just simply aren't showing where it matters most. To reverse this trend, marketers need to lean into AI visibility, both paid and organic.
Yeah, those AI overviews they're really hitting hard today, and I think you're right. We have to lean into those. So before we get into what's working, Lauren, how are things looking for SEO?
Yeah, well, so as Kason said, conversions have held steady. And this kind of follows a trend that we've been seeing specifically in Google Organic for years. Organic traffic has been declining, and now we're just kind of seeing that those click-through rates, they've been falling, but it's happening across the internet. It's happening on all of our clients. So algorithm updates have been diversifying search results for quite some time now. The search intent has become more and more focused, and at this point, 92% of search queries are long tail. So, we're seeing more and more focused behavior, really. And we know that AI overviews can and do answer those informational queries for us. So there's been a lot of chatter around how do we replace these traffic losses that are occurring because people just aren't clicking anymore. And, those traffic losses can be really devastating if you monetize through ad revenue. Most of the clients that we work with don't have an ad placement model. So what we need to do is shift that conversation from replacing lost sessions to maximizing conversions from the sessions that are happening. Because the traffic that is coming through, whether it's through an AI overview, traditional organic, or through LLMs, it's converting really well. And one of the questions that we received asked, why do brands need to keep creating content if AI overviews are just answering for people anyway? And that's a really good question, and it's one that I've gotten before too. Because we do know that AIOs have those lower CTRs, but and this happens to me on a regular basis, when the AIO isn't able to satisfy the question that you're asking, people do one of three things. They're gonna dig deeper into AI mode, they're gonna go below and click on either an ad or an organic result, or they're going to click through one of the reference, citations within the AI overview. So it's really important to surface in those AI overviews for a couple of reasons. One, that authority is important. The impression is valuable. And two, if there is a potential click, you can't get it if you're not there. So we do need to continue to focus on creating content, but it needs to be focused on deeper funnel behavior. We need to also invest in unique perspective and contributing value to those top funnel conversations that are continuing to happen, right? We still do want to be a resource in that AI overview. So the answer isn't to stop creating content. It's to focus your content creation on three things. First, target a lot of that content on users who are deeper in the funnel, because those are the people you're definitely going to get clicks from, right? Because the AI overview can only take you so far before you do want answers from a brand. That's what people are searching for. Secondarily, you need to engage your audience. You need to know who they are. You need to know what they're looking for you to solve, and you need to speak to them. And then third, showcase what's unique about your brand. Why are you in the marketplace? What do you do differently from your competitors? Who are you, and what do you have to say that demonstrates that you're an expert in the field? And how do you propose solving those problems that your audience has and they're coming to you to, get a solution for? And with SEO, right, the challenge now is that you can't just go into an SEO tool and create a skyscraper piece of content, which is basically throwing everything at the book, in the book at a topic in order to just create this really rich and dense resource. Because now what's happening is we've been talking about EAT signals for a really long time, and the need to integrate unique data and expert opinion. But what has really put the fire under this is just recently, Google's VP of Search was in an interview and this kind of just came out, and I'm like, wow, this was a really big insight that came out of just this interview. But that's that content that doesn't provide unique expertise or first party data or just something more that elevates that conversation. That content is going to now be downgraded to just above spam level. And that's a big deal. That is something that we are talking about every day on our team because of the fact that this means a few things to me, right? Copywriting can't just be done by anyone. You need to invest in making sure the people who are writing the content are subject matter experts and understand your business deeply. We need to weave this expertise and unique to the brand data throughout our content. And collecting first-party data is crucial, not just for your media channels, but also for creating content as well. And this is something that applies to leadership content, landing pages, buying guides. There's an application for everything from SaaS to shopping, right? And Google's been pushing us in this direction for a long time. There's just been a lot of resistance to it, right? It's hard to put people in front. It's risky. There's there's risk to it. So, but the emergence of and the rapid adoption of AI has served to expedite the imperative to showcase the people and the purpose behind a brand. And so this is something that we're really, really focusing on in conversations with our clients. The data is showing that unique brand voice has a really high correlation in tests for whether or not you show up in AI visibility. Another thing that's really top of mind and part of the conversation is that we need to invest in multimodal experiences. And that means that your content needs to be available in text, video, audio, and social, whatever format it is that your audience is demanding to consume in. And these are just a couple of the major reasons why we've integrated our creative team into the performance group at Lamarck. Because we need to work closely together to collaborate in order to deliver those user experiences that are being demanded in today's day and age. So, there's a lot going on. And with all of these changes that are happening right now, we also have to reframe how we think of measurement, right? Because we do know that even if we're just talking about search, that sessions can no longer be like core to the KPI conversation. It needs to, we need to talk about impressions. We need to talk about um, all of the KPIs that are coming into the ecosystem and what that user journey looks like. We're working on developing a new way of measuring brand visibility across search, across AI, and even incorporating social search. Like, what does that look like, right? Because the discovery process has changed so much and it's happening all over the place. Even when we're talking just, broadly, not just focused on search, we're battling against all of these invisible behaviors like cookie consent, social searches that don't, there's no data on. Social search is happening all the time. I think it's something like 55% of Gen Zers use TikTok first and maybe only. Um, and there's just general challenges with attribution, which is why it's so important for us to invest in analytics in order to connect those dots. So I know that Morgan has a lot more to say about that than I do.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Yeah, so the biggest concern that we've been seeing with AI is just loss of data. There's fewer clicks, fewer users, fewer sessions. With this lack of kind of traditional inputs and KPIs gone, how can you effectively measure the impact of any marketing channel? Where do you know where to allocate budget and resources? So when it comes to analytics for data collection or the analysis piece of it, we kind of need to start reframing or rebuilding what we're actually doing to accurately measure impact now. So this starts with understanding how your customers now find brands and evaluate and convert. So AI-generated summaries, voice answers, chat-based experiences, they're shifting discovery away from traditional clicks and sessions. Users aren't coming to your site and reading your content, your about page, or a piece of killer content or something like that. They're getting it from AI overviews and ChatGPT. So this means that visibility is happening in places where measurement is weaker or just doesn't exist. Uh, your brand might be influencing users without seeing that reflected in any analytics platform or any advertising reporting. So what do you do? Reinventing attribution is a big piece of this. So with user journeys changing, a clear referral path is kind of disappearing. So what that means is last click attribution isn't telling the full story. This has been the case for many, many years now, but even more so today, it is changing rapidly. So moving towards looking at data-driven attribution and looking at other inputs beyond your other inputs beyond, one analytics platform, one advertising platform's reporting suite, things like that. So this could be something as simple as looking at just data-driven attribution that's available in GA4. This looks like looking at incremental lift from campaigns and marketing holistically. So how running a paid search ad alongside high-ranking content can drive total visibility and engagement on your site. This looks at maybe incorporating non-click engagement signals. So that's something like a search console or ad impression, media mentions, social media signals, click-throughs for social ads, things like that, and then making inferences about how that has made impacts to your site. Also, first-party data is becoming crucial here. Having full control over your data, your collection, basically full control over your data is critical. Basically, AI, this cookieless world we're going into, cookie consent laws, privacy laws, impacts of that, it all fragments the visibility into your users, and your first-party data helps to restore it, or at least some of it. But really, with all this change, the basics are still really crucial. Your foundations are pretty much non-negotiable here. So your ensuring your event model is buttoned up. Your implementation is reliable. That UTM strategy is in line. Basically, in this world where there's no longer a single source of truth or foundation across the board needs to be rock solid.
Yeah. Reinventing attribution sounds like a big undertaking. So it's obvious that change is here, whether we like it or not. So given all these changes, get my mouse back over here. There we go. What are we seeing that's actually working for your advertisers today? What is driving real results right now? What can marketers do to stay visible and competitive? Lauren, let's start with you on that one.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the beauty of what's going on, I mean, right, nobody likes change, and this is it's happening constantly. Every day things are changing. But that's why I got into SEO. It keeps you on your toes. It never gets boring. So, yeah, things are exhilarating right now. Let's put it that way. But despite seeing less traffic, um, and broadening gap between the click data that we're seeing in Google Search Console and the sessions that we're seeing in analytics, is that, like I said before, the traffic that we are seeing is converting so well. So we do know that a few things are continuing to work on the SEO front, right? First, target keywords that you can actually get visibility for. We utilize Ahrefs as our primary SEO tool, and we can tell from the research tools in there whether or not an AI overview actually appears for a certain query. So, those are low-hanging fruit. And it's really nice to just go, you know what? You don't have to even worry about it in that case, so we'll target that keyword. And we're very, very intentional too when we're creating a keyword strategy for a client about looking at viability for ranking for a keyword, because search volume and keyword difficulty are just like that's not really what's going to get you the real traffic these days anyway. So we're always looking at the SERP to determine whether or not we could even rank for a keyword, because some of them are so cluttered, and there are so many SERP features that might not even be relevant for our client that certain those keywords might not be worth us pursuing because there might be 3 organic spaces available on the SERP. And at this point, Google's only serving 10 results as a default anyway. So, we got to figure out if the juice is worth the squeeze. So that's one thing. Second is making sure that you're creating helpful content that's really designed for engagement. For the longest time, SEO has been about keyword density and, making sure you're hitting all the same, the headings and our outlines and making sure we have 1,500 words on a page. And I think now we're in a beautiful time because that age-old sort of battle that we've had between, creative and SEO and all those things I just mentioned is melting away, and we're able to really focus on creating content that engages and really speaks to the audience members that we need and to resonate with them. We don't need to be the encyclopedia anymore. And it's funny because like one thing we used to use as a tactic was create a glossary of terms. And that would give you like, hey, we're experts and also all of this relevant information because now you have all of our industry jargon. But what would happen is that the only people coming to those pages are students writing research papers at whatever level. And those people are never going to convert. They might have a little bit of brand recall later. So maybe, impressions are never not valuable. But what's happened over time is that the algorithm updates have basically taken away that unqualified traffic from us because they're not going to serve a brand's website for a glossary. They're going to serve an educational resource that has other information that is relevant to the intent of that student writing that research paper. They did us a favor and removed the unqualified traffic that we were attracting, which is one way that SEO has evolved that's been really great. So, go for keywords that you can get, create helpful and engaging content, and the next thing is schema. Schema is code that you can put on the back of your website that tells search engines and other robots about the people, places, and things associated with your brand. And some of that's data that you wouldn't necessarily put user-facing, like the year you were founded may or may not be in your messaging, or like the university that a board member went to. And all of these things might seem like they're not relevant, but understand that LLMs and Google's knowledge graph they're trying to map the world. And so the more relevant information you can give them about the relationships you have, the better it can understand what your brand is and what your brand is and who your brand is intended for, really. And one demonstration, right, of how GEO/AEO, whatever you want to call it, is goes beyond just SEO is that Google recognizes about 20 types of schema, whereas LLMs recognize 800. And so this is also another area that people have been slow to adopt. So even in even in just regular SEO, we've seen that competitors have not kept up with schema. And so this is something that you can still do to gain an edge. And that's like a thing we're big on right now. Like mark up everything, put all the schema on it. It's not going to hurt you. And so, the rise of AI has been yet another death knell for SEO. Oh, SEO is dead. And people say every so often, and it's loud and it happens, and we move on. But the thing is that SEO will continue to be important right now because there is a correlation between organic success and showing up in LLM searches. But SEO is not enough. GEO/AEO, it does go beyond that. And so the fourth thing that I would mention right now about what's working is strong citations. And by that, I mean brand mentions, not to be confused with citations as in local search, which is a different thing. But strong brand mentions alongside other mentions of or conversations about your industry and conversations involving your competitors, which, has been an uncomfortable place because a lot of people, don't want to be mentioned alongside their competitors because that's promoting them, right? But the thing is that the way that machine learning understands an industry is co-citation and correlation. And so therefore showing up alongside your competitors is a signal that you are a big player in your industry. So you could think about it this way, right? Like when we're talking about cola, just cola specifically, Coca-Cola is always going to be part of that conversation. Now, it might be the only brand that's talked about in that conversation. Majority of the time, you're probably also going to have Pepsi enter this conversation. And, here and there, maybe you're going to hear about RC Cola. But, one brand you probably haven't heard of in a long time, Shasta. Shasta is the number 10 cola brand in the United States. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't recognize like most of the ones in between RC and Shasta. But point being, like you haven't heard of them a long time. They don't have a share of voice right now. And for them to really enter this conversation, they need to do a lot of work in showing up when people are talking about cola and when people are talking about Coca-Cola. So that's how we think about brand mentions. So our GEO/AEO practice is focused on going beyond those core SEO strategies, which again, still work, to focusing on how your brand is surfaced across the web, which means you have to incorporate some organic social. We need to talk about PR. We need to incorporate paid search and social search and make sure that we're just hitting all of those things. Reputation management, that's also a really big part of it. We want to focus on growing your share of voice. You keep hearing me say that, but it's important, and making sure there's positive sentiment. We want to make sure that we're helping brands own their narrative so that they can feed it into the AI platforms. What's a big deal right now? Being on Wikipedia. It's really, really hard to get on Wikipedia. But that's a really huge signal to AI that you are a big part of this industry. So if it isn't already part of a strategy, it is something that I highly recommend focusing on, is not getting on Wikipedia tomorrow, but start gaining that momentum that you need to build a Wikipedia page. So, like I said before, there's a lot going on. And we also know that the lines are blurring in the search experience itself. We're just focused on search, right? So we really do need to break down the silos that are happening across GEO, SEO, paid search, paid social search, which, we're talking about organic at that point. But we need to be sharing keywords so that we can help drive content strategy, so that we can help develop a full funnel approach that's really efficient between the channels. We need to test together and apply those learnings from ad copy to meta tags, or use landing page insights to help improve our website content. Or on the flip side, we can use our SEO skills to improve quality scores on our paid search landing pages. So I don't know, we really want to be covering all stages of the funnel as efficiently and intentionally as we can. Right, Kason?
Yeah, I think that's why I love conversations like this, because I think it's so rare that you have SEO and paid search experts in the same room having organic conversations about where search is going. So And I think that's where we're seeing real success out of, when people do connect their teams and break down that paid and organic search silo. So not just when two teams kind of work together, but what we're also seeing is that, breaking down those silos allows for a whole story to be told, for your brand experience. Instead of just having two separate signals, what we're seeing is you're going to strengthen your brand authority across SERP. But it's not just kind of breaking down those silos. There's also fundamentals of search performance that's changing, as we're seeing that in some markets that nearly 60% of Google searches now end without a click. And I know these are questions that we received. And that means that users are finding what they need directly within results pages through AI summaries, quick answers, and conversational experiences. And so search isn't just about getting clicks anymore, it's about influencing decisions before that click even happens. And the brands that are winning, they saw this coming. They didn't wait for AI overviews to hit their category. They prepared early, they optimized their content. And so when the rollout did happen, they were already there in those AI overviews front and center. And that's really what being proactive is looking like right now. So what are those advertisers doing differently, and what can y'all do to ensure that you're showing up in those AI spaces? They're leaning into tools that are already built into the ecosystem. So think embedded AI, like campaigns and strategies like Performance Max, Broad Match, and AI Max, which help Google understand your offerings, your audience signals, and your creative, so your ads can surface dynamically across the evolving SERP and AI experiences. They're also rethinking how they measure performance. I know Morgan kind of got into this, but instead of getting stuck on CPCs or click-through rates, they're looking at cost per acquisition, return on ad spend, and conversion quality, because AI filters out low intent traffic, as Lauren kind of mentioned, and raw click volume means less now, and efficient conversions are going to mean more. They're testing emerging AI ad inventories, so think platforms like Perplexity and ChatGPT, which we all know are in that early stage, and the billing models, KPIs, and attribution frameworks are just not there. They're still evolving. But these experiments are giving advertisers a clearer view of how users are expressing intent in that natural language. And that insight loops right back into smarter creative and keyword strategies across Google and other channels. And lastly, this is my favorite, but they're activating on first-party data and using predictive intelligence to guide spend. By connecting CRM data, site analytics, and campaign performance into Vertex AI-powered predictive bidding and models, advertisers can now identify high-propensity users and invest where conversions are most likely to happen. These models don't just react to past performance, they forecast which audiences and opportunities will drive meaningful results, allowing you to allocate budget dynamically and maximize efficiency in real time. And yes, and I think we're probably going to receive this question, is what about AI overview reporting? There's partners out there that are creating and filling those gaps where the reporting isn't available. But I think what a lot of advertisers and marketers want to hear is from Google independently, as they're the creators of these AI overviews in these AI spaces. And so I actually had the chance to bring this up during a Google search panel that I attended in New York last month. And the takeaway that I received was, just as we saw Performance Max channel reporting, I know everyone asked for that, dedicated AI overview metrics and reporting is going to come. But the reality is visibility is going to continue to move faster than measurement. So we don't want to wait for perfect reporting experiences to start adapting. And the advertisers who we do see winning right now are the ones that are learning and evolving while the rules are still being written. So in my opinion, I think the future is going to belong to those who measure success by real business impact and who help their clients learn and adapt before the market fully matures. And I'll pass it to Morgan.
Thanks. Yeah, great. The people who are clients we see that are succeeding the most are the ones who are being proactive, who are being nimble, who are adjusting to what we're seeing. And some of this proactivity can be something as simple as just understanding how AI traffic is site traffic from AI sources is impacting your site. Uh, this is something as simple as just creating a channel grouping in your analytics platform to better understand holistically how ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, etc., come to your site. We have a great blog on our website from one of my coworkers, Emma, has a quick first step on how you can set that up within GA4. But looking at this traffic, just analyzing what it's doing, how it's different. What are landing pages that are being served to users from these AI tools? Is this traffic more lucrative from a conversion standpoint? Is it more speculative? From some of this analysis, you can kind of start to connect the dots to how these AI models are showing your site to users. Using this and then some of these tools like Ahrefs that Lauren had mentioned earlier, you can sort of connect the dots to better understand um, how AI is showcasing your brand. So that's a good first step that clients are taking. Beyond that, kind of from a larger holistic level, just evaluating your analytics stack and your reporting, looking at all the inputs that your team makes or your team uses to make decisions. So in the past, SEO might have just looked at GA reporting or Amplitude or whatever your web analytics platform of choice is, while the ad team is looking in Meta Business Manager and Google Ads and DV360 or something like that. But now you need to, as an analytics professional across teams, you need to start looking at how all of these, how any changes across any of these impact kind of the bottom line of traffic to your site. So how does a budget or click through on a meta ad maybe lead to a lift in your search console impressions? And does that explain a rise in perplexity referrals and conversions within GA? Does PR work lead to an increase in AI overview appearances? And does that correspond to a rise in like direct traffic and conversions? Starting to look at how each piece of your brand's existence in the world impacts the bottom line. And beyond kind of making us rethink how we measure and report, AI can actually make our lives a little easier on the analytics front. You can use it to query your data. If you're, let's say, you're not as versed in like something like SQL or something a little more advanced, you can use it to query data. Multiple analytics platforms have anomaly detection using AI built right in. You can use it to forecast trends, like Kason had mentioned earlier, using your first-party data. Something like with server-side GTM, you can feed all these inputs into an AI model that can score users and create more valuable audiences so you can spend smarter. This kind of want to go back to what's really working for people. I mentioned this earlier is your foundation again is so important. Your data governance is crucial. As automation and modeling only work well when the data quality is high. This means from any platform. So your tagging is clear, your campaign structure makes sense, naming conventions make sense. It just makes everything much easier. And then other things that are working again is building a robust first-party data ecosystem for yourself. So investing in server-side tagging, connecting your analytics data, servicing something like user IDs so you can connect to your CRM and engagement data, using something like a CDP to do identity stitching across devices and channels, basically understanding different experiences and how that impacts user journeys. And then you can, using this first-party data, you can then feed this into AI models to spend smarter and make better, smarter, faster decisions. I feel like I'll go ahead and segue us into our final piece on kind of what's next. I've sort of touched on that. So with a lot of this, the main thing that from the analytics piece and measurement piece is focusing on what you can control. Google or ChatGPT may or may not provide more reporting within their systems. Kason had mentioned that AI overview reporting is coming. We don't know how comprehensive that'll be. We don't know what ChatGPT will give us or what Perplexity will give us, if they'll give us anything. we have inputs from something like Ahrefs or SEMrush or some other SEO tools might have overview reporting built off of their own kind of proprietary systems and stuff like that. But ultimately, we don't have control over that. What you do have control over is your data foundation, your data governance, your event model, your infrastructure, your tagging. With first-party data, you have control over your data, your whole data infrastructure. So with this control that you have, modernize what you're looking at. Modernize your metrics to focus on influence and engagement quality, inclusion rates in AI, coverage in SERPs, site engagement metrics might be more important than traditional fewer sessions but higher engagement could be a better goal than more sessions. Using first-party data to connect visibility with downstream conversions and retention. Using tools to run predictive or incremental models to understand how AI can impact traffic and revenue. This doesn't have to be something built out by a team of data scientists. This is something as easy as Google's predictive audiences that are out of the box in GA4. Another thing you control is your brand. That's your websites, your social profiles, your voice. Is that experience consistent? Does it help users? Is your site experience pleasant for a user? Is it fast? Answer their questions, things like that. And finally, to some extent, you control your business. You control your teams and how they work together. So working across teams, SEO and paid media together. I know Case and Lauren have both mentioned this before. It's really crucial to get everyone in the room with analytics to start talking about what all of these new inputs are and the best ways to make decisions off of that. And I think Lauren has some thoughts on that moving forward too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked about collaboration a little bit already, and I will also talk about that again in a minute. But shifting to, if we're talking about what to look forward to in the future, future proofing and forward thinking have always been very core to our SEO practice. We've always looked ahead and, very basically understanding Google's prime motivation has been to maintain market share, right? That's, if they have all the market share, they get all the ad revenue, and that's their motive. So that's why they've invested so much in engineering and all these algorithm updates that, has given us hell over the years, but, have also, like I said, led to us tampering back and getting qualified traffic. But their core mission, right, if we look at the core mission, is to deliver the best experience to the user. If you keep, that's to keep people searching on Google instead of going to other sources. So it's always been easy to infer what the future needs to be when we're talking about SEO. And so now we're applying that same thinking to this new ecosystem when we're talking about LLM search. One of the questions that we received asked what the confidence level is that we have that LLMs won't drastically change in the same way that algorithms have. And although having any degree of confidence may seem presumptuous right now, the tech has changed. The major updates that caused like drastic traffic changes in the past have given way to quality updates and spam updates, and we kind of know what to expect from a coming algorithm update versus those major updates that destroyed businesses back in the day, and being completely de-indexed because you had one glitch that was technically not SEO friendly. And I know we will see changes in how LLMs work and behave, and they're still learning. Just in the past 6 months alone, there's been so much change, and we've seen a lot of improvement in the quality of just how you interact day to day with utilizing ChatGPT or Perplexity and all of the other tools. There's new tools every day, right? So, the approach kind of remains the same, in my opinion, and that is do right by the user and create a strong experience, and you will be successful. So this is going to become more crucial as time goes on too. Like I mentioned before, Google's now only displaying 10 results by default. You can click to get more, but the reason they're doing this is because it's going to save them money, and also people aren't really going beyond that. So LLMs are not going to provide pages and pages of results either in a conversation. And like I said earlier, like what what matters is, in order for you to get cited, it hinges on how relevant your offering is to the conversation that somebody is having. And it matters what, if you have a strong share of voice and a good reputation, and that your offering is clearly differentiated, defined, and people understand what your brand is about. LLMs understand what your brand is about. So again, I might be repeating myself a bit, but working towards gaining exposure through PR or partnerships, and treating your clients and customers with respect is important. And this might be a hot take, but I really do expect to see this, become a full ecosystem thing that brands have to work on, right? I expect to see that customer experience feedback and sentiment analysis, online or otherwise, start to impact the product development cycle. Marketing needs to become a full spectrum effort, and there needs to be a lot of collaboration and data sharing between sales, product, marketing, and customer teams. Again, this is maybe not tomorrow, but I really think that this is where we're going, because LLMs can read all of the complaints. They can read all of the, everything across the internet that you're not going to find yourself, because it's all over the place, right? And so the best way to future-proof against that sort of thing is to do what you do well for the people that you intend to serve. And I think that is the North Star that needs to be followed now.
And I know Lauren touched on, Google, but I think just taking a step back as we think about paid search in particular, is that Google is trying to hold on to their market share. I know Lauren also touched on TikTok and Gen Z. And, we all grew up in the era of Google, but there's also other generations that are coming up that are growing up in the generation of ChatGPT. So ensuring that they're protecting their market share and that Google continues to be that name brand, that household brand, is going to be important. So understanding the bigger picture, taking a step back, maybe stepping out of those metrics that we historically have always, depended on, and being okay to pivot a little bit, I think is going to be key. And looking ahead at 2026 and beyond, these shifts are only going to keep accelerating, and AI-driven experiences are obviously not going anywhere. They're becoming a core part of how people are discovering and interacting with brands, and like I said, younger generations in particular. Things are going to be moving fast. We know that there's new players like Perplexity and, again, ChatGPT showing up all the time. New formats pop up like AI Max. So preparing for what's next, I don't think is just about chasing every single change, but it's also about where AI is actually making a big difference. Helping people discover your brand, guiding how they interact with you, and making sure that you're relevant in the moments that truly matter. Nobody has all the answers. I don't even think Google has all the answers. Every brand, agency, and platform, I think, is currently trying to figure it out, and unifying and taking down those silos is only going to make it easier. And that's why preparing for what's next really comes to finding the partners that you can trust, whether that's internally in your teams or partners like Lamarck and AdSwerve, but people who can navigate uncertainty and experiment in smart ways and make decisions even when data isn't perfect yet. These are the things that we focus on, is making an actual difference. AdSwerve and Lamarck both help brands cut through this noise that we're all experiencing by figuring out where AI is shaping discovery, and use that to build long-term advantage for all of our clients. And in my opinion, the brands that are going to be the most prepared for 2026, they're not reacting now, but they're leading. And they'll focus on what matters and embrace change intentionally and evolve alongside their customers.
Yeah, we could just wrap it up right there, because Kason, that last soundbite was perfect. Don't react, lead. I think is a great takeaway from this. Speaking of takeaways, I'm going to spend 2 seconds on this next slide because I do want to get to some questions. We asked our panelists what their top takeaway would be. So here we go. Number one is reframe your mindset. AI overviews are acting somewhat as a filter, so you have to find new ways to see value. Maybe that includes setting new KPIs, things like that. Laura mentioned a couple times that you need to focus on your brand. You have to stand out in the marketplace, gain that share of voice and maintain your reputation. I did write down something that she said, and it was that Content that doesn't provide something unique is being downgraded to just above the spam level. So make sure that your brand is unique and not classified as spam. Also, expand your inputs for analysis. Learn to do more with what you have and do more with what you can control, as Morgan said. So, okay, we're going to jump into questions, and there are several, so we might only have time for a couple. So I'm going to grab this one here from Debbie. And Debbie says, besides Search Console, how can you track or measure your brand's performance in AI summaries? Is there a way to do that?
Yes. So like I mentioned, we utilize Ahrefs as our primary SEO tool, and you are able to see there if there are queries that that have AI overviews and whether or not you appear in them. So there are the impressions that you can see in Search Console, and as we all know, they're not telling us if it's an AI overview or not in Search Console. There are also other tools designed specifically for LLM search, which like I think we utilize keyword.com and otterly.ai, not to be confused with the meeting recording Otterly. But anyway, there are two tools designed specifically for putting in prompts and tracking results there.
Here's a question from Drew. Any recommendations for prompts to systematically test to see how a site and its competitors are showing up in AI search, or tests to run to expose gaps and deficiencies?
Yeah, I can kind of answer this one. So we've had a lot of clients, like I mentioned, I think, like I said, by the end of the year, at least 40% of queries will include AI overviews. But throughout this last year, we've been testing that for clients. So I think when it comes to if you're an agency or a marketer, you know your brand the best. So those questions that would kind of have that monetizable intent to trigger that AI overview, I would start testing those. And if you're not seeing it with the language that you know is likely going to trigger something like that, that is when you kind of need to go back to that drawing board and ensure that you're following the steps that we discussed, whether you're trying to get there organically or from a paid measure. What I call like the golden tickets into AI overviews from a paid standpoint are going to be broad match, again, AI max and PMax. And without those, you're not going to appear in those spaces. So if you're not seeing your brand there and you're not either optimized via SEO or your strategy in the paid sector is not, tied down, you're likely not appearing in those areas.
Case, and I have another one for you. It's specific to the healthcare industry, but maybe we can broaden that to more. What kind of guidance can you give with adopting healthcare search strategy to the modern search era?
Yeah, I think with healthcare in particular, we're in a very sensitive category when it comes to anything modern. And when we're saying modern, I think we're talking about AI in particular. Actually, Morgan kind of touched on this, SGTM. There's a lot of partners out there at AdSwerve. We have a lot of healthcare advertisers, whether those are agencies or marketers themselves. And so there's a lot of partners out there that we see our clients partner with. One that I can think of off the top of my head is FreshPaint. If you're familiar with Google Ads or SA360, whether you're using Google Ad conversion trackers or you're using floodlights, Google does not sign a BBA for either of those, meaning that they're not technically HIPAA compliant because you can still pick up PII depending on how you have those tags triggered. So something like SGTM, and FreshPaint themselves calls themselves HIPAA compliant, how they have their SGTM containers configured for the people who sign on to their products. So I would definitely look into that. And then if you're ever wanting to expand into like an AI service, Google does have something called the Healthcare Cloud. And with that, they do sign additional contracts and they do ensure that it is HIPAA compliant. So if you are wanting to move forward in AI maturity, those would be the two spots that I would say are like your ground floor to doing healthcare advertising in a smart way that's also safe and HIPAA compliant. And let me know if that kind of answers that.
Awesome. So I want to call out a couple of things. First of all, thank you to our presenters for joining. We had so much great content to sift through, lots of really good nuggets in there, tips and tricks for how to, make it work for you and how to prepare for what's coming. We'll be breaking some of those sound bites out into more snackable content, so keep an eye out for those as well. Thank you all for attending. Y'all are why we do this, you marketers and agency reps. So thank you for coming. We are always adding new blog posts and ebooks and tip sheets to our website. So keep an eye out on our insights page for those. You can see some previews here on the slide. Please let us know how we can help you with the marketing challenge, and have a wonderful day. Thanks, everyone.